Good morning. It's 1760. I'm Reverend Caleb Barnum of the Westerly Precinct of Wrentham. Today's sermon, 2 Corinthians 2-11, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. What is the advantage Satan is attempting to gain over mankind, and in general Christians in particular? What are those devices he frequently uses in order to achieve this end? Now, it can't be reasonably expected that I give a full detail of these, since they are so numerous and so subtle. They seem to be these: Satan is contriving for you to be ignorant, for you to be self-conceited, and for you to be confident, heady, and that you shall quarrel. When he has taken such steps and succeeds in them, you may safely judge what a mighty advantage he has over us. First off, Satan contrives that we may be ignorant. He would fain have it that ignorance is the mother of devotion. In this he agrees heart and hand with the papists, and though the Bible tells us that without knowledge the mind cannot be good, it is on this principle that schools and colleges of learning are so much declaimed against and run down. These are the means to banish ignorance and promote useful knowledge of the world. If it lay in his power that mankind might be reduced to gross, dark, and heathenness, thus he would rule over them with greater ease, as he does over the miserable nations of Africa, and as he did over the poor Indians in America before the arrival of the English. Now Satan has taken various methods for all among past ages of the world. It is evident that every artifice which wit and malice can mount has been used against the Scriptures, that sacred fund of learning and knowledge. Sometimes they have been secreted from the common folk by not being allowed to be translated into their common language. Sometimes religion has been loaded with such a cumber of supplementary rites and ceremonies as among the Jews and the papists, that the written word has been but little regarded. Since the happy invention of printing has taken place, the Scriptures, can no longer be secreted. Things have taken a better turn. Not being contented with the plain written word, some minds have been possessed with the notions of immediate revelation, impulses, visions, and prophecies. When persons give heed to such extraordinary things, they soon imagine that they are wiser, but cannot be edified by the plain written word that God has set his seal to. There's no revelation but the written word. How can they believe that this immediate revelation comes from him? Certainly, it must be believed without any evidence, and consequently is an absurdity. Satan's devices don't end there, though. This is a probable beginning. He would have us conceited. He would have us self-conceited. Now, if he succeeded and has got us to esteem immediate revelation, we shall presently begin to think that we are more highly favored than the rest of our fellow Christians, and can see our duty more clearly by having it immediately revealed to us, and the plain, wholesome doctrines of the cross will not please us if indulged. This will ruin us. If any pretend to be wiser than what is written, there is no light in them. Another device of Satan is to make men confident and heady. This is a third step toward our ruin. You can easily see it, but it's self-conceit that brings it on. He will endeavor to make us think that there is some kind of merit in it to contend earnestly for the faith, but we must say it is not faith once delivered to the saints to believe in. What is not written in the book of God, or not conveyed with proper divine credentials. Confidence is the only argument that can be made use of to the establishing of immediate divine revelation, if it can be called any argument at all. A headstrong fool will never take that religion true, which is not rational and does not admit of argument to support it. Satan's device, however strong it smells of the bottomless pit, has doubtless proved successful in many instances. And then there's quarrelsomeness in contention, is another device which commonly follows on the rest, which has been too apparent among you, my congregants. I suppose you all think that the Grand Advisory has had a hand in it, and has smiled to see the controversy. You will more easily believe this when we consider how every kind of contention among a people tends to the discouragement of a minister. It weakens his hands and discourages his heart when he has to deal with so evoked a generation. Your minister is not made of steel. He cannot bear everything. He is like passions with yourselves, though he may be an angel in office. He is but a man by nature, and is affected like other men. And so I shall think so hard of any that would take pains to distress him and delight in his misery, as verily I should speak the truth, if I should say it was a kind of misery. But why? Why is it so? Am I afraid you won't willingly support me? Am I afraid you won't bear the support which my station demands? Is not religion very much on the decline, and brotherly love scarcely continuing? And do not these things call? Do not they call for our compassionate regard? Alas, my friends, was there never a time when we were sweet? Let me call your mind back to the season of our first acquaintance. Certainly there were some kind of deceit used among you. If it was not the case, you can't but remember how open and earnest I was. If any were dissatisfied to manifest it seasonably, and when was that manifestation but years afterwards, wherein have I changed my sentiments or doctrines? I would tell you, I did not expect to live in this world of trial without trouble of various kinds. There is no station in life exempted, but what I would aim at in this representation is that you may see how evidently this appears to be a device of Satan to hinder the proper effect of the word. Does not a minister's usefulness depend in part on the brethren dwelling together in unity? How is it possible that a minister should take any comfort and any satisfaction in a people when they for whom he watches and of whom he must give an account are in contention and wrangling? How can we conceive it possible that his ministry should generally be successful? Our own mutual comfort and edification does in measure depend on it. Remember what the great apostle says: we beseech you, brethren, to know them which labor among you, and are over you in the Lord, and admonish you and esteem them very highly in love for their work's sake. But this is not all, he says. Be at peace among yourselves. Nothing is more evident than for brethren to dwell together in unity, and that discord and variance, wrath, strife, and malice put an end to this inward peace and mutual satisfaction. You will know that where confusion, contention, and strife is, there is every evil work. The last and great commandment is for us to love one another. The glory of God and religion much depends on our peace. The contentiousness of Christians give occasional scandal and offense. The name of Christ is blasphemed by this contention and scandal, and this gives an infernal joy to the grand interloper Satan. We should defeat this device of Satan and lead quiet and peaceful lives in all godliness and honesty. I hope by this time there are some seriously inquiring how it shall be effected. No reformation is effected without divine agency. We ought to be careful to give no offense and unite in hearty supplications. Let everyone be careful to give no offense, no occasion of animosity, and behave towards all men with justice and equity, sincerity and uprightness, with truth and fidelity, with benevolence and kindness, with candor and kindness, with prudence, and with an evenness of temper and steadiness of conduct. Everyone should be careful to take no offense when small slights are offered. Though it may be on real grounds and great provocation, we should be meek and gentle. Everyone should follow those divine principles of benevolence and humility so recommended in the gospel and so essential a part of Christianity. We should put on, as the elect of God, bowers of mercy, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long-suffering, forbearing one another, and forgiving one another. If any man may have a quarrel against any man, as Christ forgave you, so also do. And above all these things, put on charity, which is the bond of perfectness. Let the peace of God rule in your hearts. And lastly, if offenses do unhappily arise, then they should be managed with the utmost prudence and a pacific spirit. Everyone should prevent or endeavor to make up breaches. This would be an easy matter were all peaceably enclosed, and should this be our happy case, then might we reasonably hope that the God of peace would dwell among us. We should unite in hearty supplications that this may be the case, though it look very dubious. Nothing is too hard for God. We can bring the most improbable things to pass, and he sometimes chooses to do it to hide pride from the eyes of men. Oh, for the sweet balm of peace, that greatest of temporal blessings, when we give way to the devices of Satan, whereby he got an advantage against us. We can't expect that peace will return. But, we have this direction given us, and the devil, he will flee from us. Let us encounter this enemy with the armor of God. Improvements. How much more anxiously concerned is Satan for your destruction than for the salvation of your own soul. He spares no pain, but you act with a shocking kind of wanton indifference, as if you feared not for your deathless souls. Though they now may be all stupidity and carelessness, they will sometime or another be wide awake and conscious that the never-dying worm will be left as your tormentor. How will you appear at the bar of judgment? Oh, my friend, I often speak with a tender sorrow, because I speak with discouragement. Behold, the sorrow of the Lord is unto the sinner's reproach. Thank you.